Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So a couple of videos back, I said that I'll make a more detailed video where I will talk about why I quit my job. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm gonna share with you what that job was like and all the reasons that led to me quitting it. So you get a full picture why I just had to quit it, even without any backup plans. So even though this video is gonna be pretty long, I suggest that you watch the whole thing. But of course, if you really want to skip to any parts of this video, there's gonna be timestamps in the description. If this is the first video that you're seeing on my channel, then here's a little backstory for you. So I live in Finland. I've been living here since 10 years old, and last year I graduated from university as an early childhood education teacher. And that same summer, I got a full-time job at a daycare center. Before my job started, I remember having quite mixed feelings about it. This was my first ever real job, so of course I was excited, but also really nervous. I remember having this thought that my life's over. I know that sounds really dramatic, but that's literally how I felt. Because I knew that I will have to work really hard, maybe even in my free time, especially in the beginning, which is exactly what I did. And I felt like, well, this is the career path that I chose, so I just have to stick with it no matter what. Looking back on it now, I think I subconsciously knew that this career path wasn't the right one for me. So it made it kind of scarier to feel like I was stuck in that situation for who knows how long. Well, it didn't end up being that long at all. 7 weeks to be exact. Even though it felt way longer. I still try to have a positive and optimistic mindset, and like I said, I was excited to have my own group and get to know the kids and things like that. My first few weeks didn't go that smoothly at all actually, and there were a few reasons that played a part in this. First of all, for the context, the directors of this daycare center changed right before I started working there. So I was interviewed and offered this job by one of them, and then found out that my boss will be someone else. And that would have been alright, but that boss went on annual leave for a month right when my job started. I started working in the beginning of August and quit my job at the end of September. So I only got to work with her for 3 weeks, and even during those weeks, I only saw her a few times. I don't know if the former director told her anything about me, but either way, she didn't ask me anything. She seemed nice, and I know she was really busy, but I wish she would have shown more interest in how I was doing. Because I was really waiting for her to come back to work, but when she finally did, there was no difference. I guess it looked like I was doing fine, which I was, from the outside perspective. There was nothing to complain about, but there was a huge amount of work behind that. I had to work so hard to manage everything, and I was really struggling. So yeah, this whole situation made me feel like I was thrown in the deep end. There was a substitute director who was also a teacher in another group, but she wasn't really good at that job. I didn't get access to all of the systems for the first 3 weeks, which made it hard to communicate with parents and stay on top of things. On my first day, I didn't get introduced to anyone, and I felt like no one even knew that I was coming that day. I just walked straight into my own group, introduced myself, and started working. By the way, there were 4 groups in our building, and I was offered a job in a group of under 3-year-olds. At first, and for a pretty long time, it was only me and this other girl who were in charge of our group. We were a great team. I was really lucky to have a nice coworker like her, because if she wasn't, it would have made everything a lot worse. The only thing is that I couldn't get the support that I needed from her, because she's a nanny by profession, so I couldn't ask her for pedagogical advice and things like that, but otherwise she was really helpful. There were a couple of teachers from other groups who I could ask for advice, and they were helpful too, but of course it's not their job to teach me and support me. They have their own groups and other things to worry about. There's so many things I wish I could explain to you better, but in order to do that, I would have to tell you about the whole Finnish daycare system, and then this video would be at least an hour long. So I'm not gonna do that. But I think you'll get a pretty good picture, even just from these things that I'm telling you about. So what are the things that made this job so hard for me? First of all, there were a lot of practical things that weren't really taught to us in university. In addition to that, I had no prior experience of this age group. I've never even changed a diaper prior to this job. We had 3 practice periods during our 3-year bachelor's degree, and even though I learned a lot during them, it just wasn't enough. I always felt more like an assistant there, and we obviously never got to see all the behind the scenes stuff, like filling out paperwork, and what exactly do you do when a new child comes to your group. In this job, because I was in a group of under 3-year-olds, there were a lot of new parents, and I felt really awkward around them, especially in the beginning, because they would ask me about all of these things that even I didn't know about yet. And there was also a lot of confusion around the new kids that came to our group, because the parents were contacted by this other teacher, and I didn't know what they were told already, but I couldn't contact them either because I didn't have access to all the systems, like I said. It was really frustrating. The hardest thing about this job though was that there wasn't enough time to plan things and learn things at the workplace, so I had to do it at home in my free time. The days were tiring, but they went by pretty quickly, and I was getting better at some things. But as the workday was coming to an end, I couldn't even get excited because I knew that once I got home, I would have to keep working. I could have a little break while I was eating, but then I had to keep working pretty much until I had to go to sleep. It just wasn't good at all. I didn't have time to rest and reset after work days. I didn't get enough sleep at night, and I was constantly tired. I didn't have time for anything else. I honestly felt like my life was passing by, and I was just stuck in this situation and missing out on everything. Also, most days, I didn't feel fully satisfied with the work that I did. I felt like no matter how hard I tried, it just wasn't enough. I couldn't keep up with all the things I had to do and learn, and there were just more and more things piling up. The lack of adults on most days and 2 large groups of children made work days even worse. And that's how it is in majority of daycares in Finland at the moment. There was this one afternoon when I was alone with 7 2-year-olds, and no one could come and help me because they were all in similar situations. I had to wake the kids up from a nap, change their diapers, give them a snack, and just so you know, there was one severely allergic child, which made the situation 10 times more stressful. Then I had to tidy everything up while making sure that nobody hurts themselves, and after that I had to get all 7 of them dressed and go outside with them. It was a chaos. I was honestly scared for the children's safety. Anything could have happened. Actually, there was a little incident that happened that day. No one got hurt, which is the most important thing in my opinion. But it was something that this one mom got upset about and complained to the director about, who then came to talk to me. And I understand this mom, that shouldn't have happened, but it wasn't entirely my fault, so this whole situation made me really upset. So I started crying, and I just couldn't stop. And if you know me, you know that it's very, very rare for me to cry in public. But I guess that was a breaking point for me, and I realized that I don't want to do this anymore. Because if it was this hard already after just a couple of months, what it would be like after a year or a couple of years. I realized that I don't want to sacrifice my life and my health for this. The reality of this job is not what I studied for, and not what it should be. Like, how am I supposed to treat each child as an individual, support their needs, and plan high quality activities if all I can focus on is just surviving? I was actually the lucky one. I didn't have it as bad as many people who work in this field. Maybe a week after quitting my job, I found this Instagram account that was created around the same time. That account has anonymous stories of people who work in Finnish daycare centers. The situation in daycares in Finland is catastrophic right now. There's too many kids and not enough adults. Adults are getting burnt out and depressed, and it's just a horrible environment for both adults and children. If the situation in this whole field wasn't as bad as it is, maybe my job would have gotten easier eventually and I would have gotten used to it. Or I could have changed daycare centers so I could have another teacher on my team, but even then I would have had a lot of struggles. I have many qualities that are good for this job, but this job requires so much time and energy. It is both physically and mentally draining. I had to constantly interact with people and be present both physically and emotionally. And there were barely any breaks during the day. There are no lunch breaks because you always eat with the children, and you can probably imagine what that's like with a group of 2-year-olds. I can always go back if I really wanted to, but as long as there's no change in the whole system, I'm not even going to consider it. This was probably the longest sit-down video like this that I've ever done. If you watched the whole thing and you're still watching, wow. Thank you so much, you're amazing. I know that there's so many of you who want to quit your job right now, but maybe don't even have the option to quit for whatever reason. I wish I could give you an advice, but I'm probably not the best person to do so. Because honestly, if I didn't have the option to quit right away when I just couldn't do it anymore, I don't know what I would have done. But I can tell you this, if it's something that you can't handle without sacrificing your health and your free time, try to find a solution, because there has to be one. Your health is so important, so please put it first. Alright, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next videos. Bye!